On Russian social media, messages like "I closed after 12 years" or "We no longer have money to pay the taxes" have become almost routine. Small entrepreneurs from Moscow, St. Petersburg, or remote regions post photos of padlocks on doors and empty shop windows. Estimates suggest that tens or even hundreds of thousands of micro-businesses risk disappearing in 2026 alone. One of the most shocking examples comes from Siberia. In the Novosibirsk region and other areas, authorities ordered the slaughter and burning of tens of thousands of cows, sheep, and other animals from small farms, officially due to outbreaks of diseases, rabies, and pasteurellosis. Farmers claimed that healthy animals were taken without proper testing, and the compensation offered is ridiculous. Images of thick smoke rising above villages and locals crying next to piles of ash have spread widely. Many see this not just as a sanitary issue, but as a sign of increasing pressure on small producers. In the cities, the situation is no better. The increase in VAT, or NDS, from 20% to 22% starting in January 2026 directly hits prices and the pockets of ordinary people. The revenue threshold for the simplified taxation regime is gradually being lowered to 20 million rubles in 2026 and even lower afterward. This means thousands of entrepreneurs are losing their favorable tax status and must now pay much higher taxes, plus deal with complicated accounting. Many prefer to close their business rather than continue. Many would be tempted to say this is simply governmental incompetence or management mistakes. However, some independent Russian analysts and experts offer a much harsher and more cynical interpretation. These measures are not accidents, but part of a systematic preparation of the economy for a large-scale military conflict with the West. They draw a parallel with what happened almost 100 years ago at the end of the NEP, New Economic Policy, in the USSR. After a period of relaxation that allowed some small-scale capitalism, the Soviet state suddenly began to tighten the screws. Higher taxes, the destruction of small businesses, and the forced collectivization of individual peasants, or kulaks. According to historians, the real reason was not just ideology, but urgent preparation for an imminent war with the West, the war scare of 1927. The USSR then shifted to a mobilization economy in which the state controlled everything that mattered, and small businesses became useless or even an obstacle. That is what is happening now, according to these observers. In a total war, hair salons, cafes, beauty parlors, or small IT firms would no longer serve any purpose. They would collapse anyway amid general mobilization and economic chaos. It is smarter to gradually shut them down now, so the shock is smaller than a sudden collapse when the conflict expands. Moreover, small entrepreneurs can be mobilized more easily, either to the front or to drone and weapons factories. At the top level, the state is taking full control over major banks, construction, and agriculture through holding companies directly linked to power, a process known as ogosudarstvlenie, state takeover. At the street level, small business is slowly being strangled. The result is an economy of the goskapitalism type, state capitalism, oriented almost exclusively toward war production and mobilization. The current conflict in Ukraine is seen by these analysts only as a prelude, not the real big war. That is why it continues to be called a special military operation. It is similar to the Soviet-Finnish War of 1939 to 1940, and action to improve positions before the Great Patriotic War. What advice do these experts give? To owners of small businesses, the message is harsh. There is not much you can do. Many will have to hand over their business to the state or simply close it. They recall a historical example. A wealthy peasant voluntarily joined collectivization, became the chairman of a collective farm, kolkhoz, and retained partial control over the resources. For oligarchs, the future seems to be becoming top state managers. They will keep their planes, yachts, and privileges, but will work under the strict orders of the state. For ordinary people, the advice is pragmatic and cold. Invest in your health now. Get planned surgeries while the medical system still works normally, because money will lose its value. The conclusion of these analysts is realistically cynical, without cheap opposition lamentations. What seems absurd and painful to the ordinary citizen, tax increases, the bankruptcy of small businesses, economic centralization, represents, in their view, a cynical but logical measure to prepare the country for a major war.